So, I guess I'm just happy today to see, like, not just so many sexy women, but so many wonderful women writers here. And I guess I just wanted to talk about how sexy Les was. 'Cause we were at the end. Got all this shaggy hair, and there's still 20-year-old girls running after him. And I guess he was so attractive because there was this feeling, I think, that he might save you. And it's hard to say. I think his first book was about that. He might save you as a writer or from your dark past, whatever was dark in your own life. His life was darker, and he could go there. And I guess when I think of him, I think of him as this little boy in shorts back in Hungary. His mother left him when he was 8, and this was a time right after the crackdown of '56 in Hungary. His mom and his stepdad just walked across the border and left him with his grandparents. And so he didn't see his mom until he was older. And by that time his brother George was already born. And he loved his brother, and he was like, my little brother's always taking care of me. I guess I just I always think of his mother was blonde, and she came to America and she was starting a restaurant, and it failed, and then she drank, and then he wrote his first book after she died. And Les wasn't a native English speaker, so he learned his English from nuns and watching television. And it was just a big deal for him to be a writer. When I think of him, I think of this dark romance, and I thought I would just read a page from a book that he didn't keep up with this book, but talks about him as a writer. He went out on the street and smoked a cigarette. He went back in. He said that he'd never write about being a writer, but he was doing it. The heater wasn't working. 2 cars drove by. It would just have to make itself up. Tanya pacing in the moonlight on the sidewalk, the shadows from the palm leaves crossing her bare legs. The cool wind from the window blew over his forehead. 3 a.m. The garbage can was a beautiful blue in the streetlight. He could hear the ocean. He could hear the ocean. We could hear the ocean. He had the past. He had no imagination. It was either the past or a free gift. He sat at his desk. It was his only chance. The cool wind from the window blew over his forehead. 3 a.m. with its little bed lamp. Women lay behind him, fast asleep, while he worked slowly in a labyrinth. The old nail, still colored where winter palm leaves floated on the swimming pool. And in the summer, air conditioners blew used air over it. No one was around on Sunday afternoons. He took the freeway there.
Hey, Big Chris, Big Chris. I'll give you a sign when maybe you should cook the cheeseburgers. Are you already cooking the cheeseburgers? You are? It's gonna be like 20 minutes. All right. Sweet. Very good. You guys are on this, what you're telling me. Pam Ulster, can you please come up and say hello? Thank you, Pam, for the great chapbook, and also thank you for bringing that. I haven't noticed anybody writing in the composition journals yet, but I know it's going to happen.
Right. So I brought a page. I hope you guys can bear it. One page at a time. We toiled for years together. I saw him through 2 books. He did the final edit on my first published novel. Never once during the process did he say I was any good. But I understood from the beginning not to be hurt or confused by Les. His feedback wasn't personal. His role was as teacher, to make me a better writer, to love the written word, to craft the sentence, to find the detail, to narrow it down to its essence. He led by example, never giving more than I could interpret. It was an evolution, and he knew how to raise the barn. He'd done it himself. He'd done it with others. I just had to show up for the lesson. I had to do the work. There were tick marks, lines crossed out, illegible scrawls in the margin. Too much, not here. If I figured out his note, if I understood the meaning, I'd get better one page at a time. On his last pass of my final draft, he slashed paragraphs, pages he'd previously said were swell and good. He was brutal, personal in his declaration at the end. I was hurt and confused. How dare he abandon me after all these years? I reached for the phone to read him up and down for how he assassinated my work, how he insulted me. But I didn't. We were friends, I thought. But he was my mentor first. He'd done his job, and it was time for me to fly. I knew how to take the note now. I could decipher what to use and leave the rest. I had learned. I sent him an email thanking him for being a great teacher. I told him that I'd miss him, but I'd be back soon. A high note. He sent me back something equally appropriate, kind, generous. A cordial breakup. He'd sent me packing first, and I'd gotten the message. Though I forgave him and still loved him for all he couldn't say. When my book was published last fall, I gathered my nerve and asked him for a quote. It came back in less than a day. A stellar review. All the things he'd never said to me. That it was good. That I was an excellent writer. That I'd made him laugh and cry. I read the email. I wept. I immortalized his words on my back cover. Les gave me something that I will take with me for the rest of my life, an occupation and confidence in my ability, that I can hang and am a player in the best of company. And after my kids grow to leave, and into the winter of my days, it will be his gift that will keep my flame lit to the end, as a writer. Eternal thanks and love, dear friend. Your voice in my head will never leave me lonely for your insight. I take comfort that there were no words that we left unsaid, and I know in my heart that you are now where you needed to be. Thank you.
It's been pretty good on the tears so far. Rita Williams. Rita.
I'm one of that original core group of waifs, little colored waifs that washed up here in this town where there's always a new beginning. And I think, we should sort of mention that there was a tradition. I think it started with John Ritchie, and then Kate Braverman carried the message, and then there was a group of us. It's amazing to see how many of us are here now, and published and ferocious. And I think the thing that I saw in that workshop that I really had not quite accepted was that for us to really, really claim our chair there, writing wasn't a profession, it was a vocation. And that meant that we were servants of it, as opposed to it in the service of our ego or in the service of whatever. I mean, you know, that's really why we're all here. If Les hadn't been able to impart that, he wouldn't command this kind of honor and this kind of presence. And I think the thing that I wanted to share is a short piece that I wrote, because at that time I had already gone through the process of, you know, skipping out on the nuns and my vocation there. And the thing that I discovered is that the business of a vocation to write really takes no prisoners. And it doesn't really matter what the fucking publishing industry does or doesn't do. If that's where you come from, you better fucking accept it and get right with it. You know? And not, because all it'll do if you know, chippy, you know, here and there, is waste your time, and you get older and, you know, health insurance and the same old shit, and you'll still have to do it. So, this is what I wrote. I was still fighting that writing meant a life of service, that the most important character was the reader, the gift. Fretful, how nothing might come of it, how hard I'd have to work, how it might not heal me or save me, make me loved or understood, or less of a brown wallflower in this field of blonde wheat. That it might take everything and only occasionally grant me that moment when the correct words might settle along the plain like the right black stones. Les had already taken this vow of patience, accepted that vacation to dredge the muck, to harvest the phrase and peel it back and place it on the page for those who might stop or not. And I'll give you just this short. Do I have the time to read some from his page, or should I not? How much more less do you want? Yeah. Do it. All right. Okay, this is from Les. Stopping the train. It makes me sad we could lose everything in a moment like this, Margit said. But you like being sad, Sanders said. She looked toward a wet yellow tram. Passengers clung to the straps that poverty tarted up for cafes and what nightlife there was. Down at the end of the block, black marketers sold East German perfume, laudanum, girlfriends. She watched Sander turn up his collar, straighten his glasses aslant. This random collection of gestures was all he could offer, she thought. That must be why I picked you and not somebody else, Margit said. Sander bent, gathered leaves, a rust bouquet he let fall at her feet. It's because you love me, he said. Wind ruffled his shirt, Margit's hem. She would not look at him. She stood in the odor of dogwood decay, arms weather-veined north and south. Loves me not. The shadows of her arms and legs were the hands of a long moonlit clock across rocks. That word, love, you can't toss it around, Margit said. She could have left him right then, but her name in his mouth was the scrape of their feet over gravel and mud. Tight as her throat, it was the scratch of their door opening. Sanders' coat stank of ink and perfume, something else. Pigeons flung themselves like soot stones through the sky overhead. Then they were inside. She was ripping her buttons apart, his coat's epaulette in her teeth. You're not even sorry, she said. Not so long ago, at this hour, she'd call her own name from the street because no one else did. So she moved to his side in the bed to have a purpose satisfied for the moment, she thought. She leaned into his shoulder, arms crossed on her chest, both yielding to him and defending herself. I wouldn't blame you if you left, Sanders said.
Hey, Big Chris, we got 2 more people. I think Kyle's gonna play a song. So that's the signal. Zarin. Hi, Zarin. You're the one that's been taking care of less misbehaving in the corner.
Hi, my name is Azarin Sadiq. I was this is student for the last 5-6 years. There is one line in Les Why Was that I really love, and that's, does the truth need my help? And after everything we heard, I wonder if whatever I wrote is really gonna add more, because but I thought this is for my own sake. I have to talk about him and how he meant to me. Les was my teacher for almost 5 years. Before knowing him, I was just someone with a dream. I met Les and my whole life changed. I was born again. Writing one single perfect page became my daily mission. I was saved from a full-length empty life, filled with regrets. Because of him, I dared to write. He made my life worth living. I'm Iranian, and in Persian we have this expression, this talk about someone, call him like my Sange Sabur. It means he's my rock of patience. It means that I can talk to this person, whatever I want to say, whatever doubt, whatever, and without judgment. This person just gonna listen to me, and and he's there, and you always know he's there. And for me, Les was my Sange Sabur, and I see that for many, he was their rock. What's the most stunning is that in the last years, I was working on a book named The Suicide Note, and the vision, the whole book was born by this vision of someone jumping off a building. And for years, I was thinking suicide. I was imagining my character killing themselves in different ways, and I was obsessed with suicide. And I shared everything with Les. But I never thought that he was the hopeless or helpless guy. I never imagined him to be someone, a character in my book. To me, he was always invincible. And now it's gone. For me, he's gone, and this is a new era. This is a time that I have to accept his absence, because he will be absent from every sentence I'm gonna write from now on, because he was editing all my mistakes. English is my third language, so I was making all this mistake. He was fixing my mistake. And I'm the proof that he was such a great teacher, because he made a writer out of me, and he saved me from, as Aaron said, he saved people, and he saved me from my future, because I was meant to lead a normal life, an ordinary life. I was meant to be just, someone like everybody else. But now I'm a writer, and finally this is my whole lifetime dream has been realized, and I look at myself like a writer, and this is because of Les. That's why I love him so much, and I can't accept that he's gone. I can't. He's alive for me. He's always alive. Thank you.